please be sure to use supporter creator code Justicul when buying things in the item shop. I will give a shout out to someone who can prove they bought something with it in my next video. It would be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. What is up everyone, it's me Justicul, the one who does not proceed into 5-minute intros. Today I'm going to keep it short as well because I just want to thank you all so much for more than 350 supporters on my creator code and unlocking the ability for me to play customs with you all. I had an absolute blast this weekend and I want to welcome you all to join me on Twitch to get in on the fun. You already know, link is in the top of the description. Now the reason why you clicked on this video is because you want to get better, so let's get into it. So lately, I caught myself making up excuses why I couldn't do certain things or why I didn't have the time to improve. It was time to stop this. I was making myself believe that I solely wanted to be a content creator and that I had no time next to my job, YouTube and Twitch to actually become better than I currently am. Becoming better doesn't necessarily have to mean becoming pro. It can also mean having a lot more fun at the game, becoming the best out of your friend group, or getting that high kill game that you never thought you would get. In this video, I'm trying to make it different from the others on YouTube by adding my own personal experiences and touching on subjects that people normally don't really touch on. Every tip in this video has either helped me at becoming better in my controller to keyboard and mouse journey, or is something that I planned out that will help me at becoming even better. So yes, I think that even really good players that have hit a plateau will benefit from these tips as they sometimes forget about them or didn't even think about it in the first place. Now to start this video off from my own making up excuses experience, I would like to say one thing. Join me in becoming better and stop making excuses. The first tip I would like to give you all to achieve the goal that is in the title, catching up with the pro players and getting more wins, is to find motivation to become better and having a goal in mind with that. This is the first thing you should really do. Find out why you want to become better and get motivation out of that. Do you want to be better than your brother? Be the best out of your friend group? Maybe even your whole school, your country, or the whole world. You can make it as big and personal as you want, as long as you get motivation out of it and stick to it until you reach it. Just know that to become the best in your country or even in the world, you have to put the time and effort in. Even if it is as little as 3 hours a day or less. I see plenty of people in my comment section that can only play in the weekends and are asking me how to get better. Also, most of my viewers are making the switch from controller to keyboard and mouse and are asking me the same thing. Good news! This video will even help out those that have limited time or that are making the switch from controller to keyboard and mouse. So pay attention because most people just practice inefficiently in the time they have. With this newfound motivation also comes a positive mindset. I found myself constantly complaining on stream about the game or the limitations that I have, and honestly, I need to stop that to become better at the game. It's natural to sometimes become tilted at the game, just know to pick yourself up after it and learn from your mistakes. A great example of this is a tweet I saw earlier from Azzy. Before bed, he tweeted out that being on controller is horrible, and upon waking up again, he picked his motivation back up and said he is going to do amazing in scrims and improve more than the day before. And that is the mindset you want to have to become better. People always clown me for saying motivation is one of the key factors to my quick success on the switch to keyboard and mouse. But I still firmly believe this, and the people that blame the game on every death are missing out. Learning from mistakes is what brings us to the second tip. Seriously, analyze your mistakes, learn from them, and please for the love of God listen to other players better than you. I know, it's hard to listen to other people's advice and it hurts your ego, but if they are genuinely better than you, then you can learn a lot from their advice. They are going out of their way to give you tips on how to get better, and they don't even have to do that, so the least you can do is appreciate it and see the value of it. Personally, I made the same mistake. It wasn't a matter of a hurting ego for me, I brought up the excuse of no time for practice again. One of my mods kept telling me to do 90s after I ran back up from losing high ground. I couldn't do to muscle memory and I said I had no time to practice it every single time. Until one day I decided to just do it in my viewer room for once, even if it made me look like a fool if I messed up. And wow, he was right, it actually worked better. Huge eye opener for me from that point forward. Now I try to listen to every single advice I get from my viewers that are better than me and try to practice it. Especially if you just started to switch to keyboard and mouse, please don't think you know everything better than anyone else and that is just the mechanics you need to learn. Be open to advice and take it in. It's always worth trying. Apart from this, a good way to find out what the mistakes in your gameplay are is to look into replay mode and see what you did wrong the last time you died. Personally, I don't have to do this because I stream all my games on Twitch. Link is in the description. I stream 5 days a week with customs and viewer 1v1s, so my viewers give me live feedback of what I did wrong and what I should do better. Now for the people that don't have this, please go into replay mode and see what you did wrong. Did you push too aggressively into someone's box and you got trapped? Chin up buddy, and be sure to not drop into boxes that quick next time. Got sniped for the third game in a row when finding someone? Place walls around you next time and have less tunnel vision. Missed too many shots and died because of that? Time for the transition to the next tip. The third tip will apply to everyone that experiences problems with their aim and feels like it is holding back their progress. Now in this video I'm not going into improving at the mechanics of the game, except for aim, as there are tons of videos already out there explaining what type of maps and practice to do when it comes to building, editing and aiming. I linked a few good ones in the description if you're interested, but I feel like I should still get on the subject of aim a little bit, as it is something that people tend to forget to practice or think it is impossible to practice. Now personally I always thought that my aim was the best part of my gameplay, on controller and keyboard and mouse, and I still think this way, but that doesn't mean there's no room for improvement. People kept telling me that my aim was really good, but that I could really benefit from a program like Kovacs. Kovacs? Really? That boring program that only pros and sweaty TTVs use? Not for me. That was my initial reaction. I just kept saying it was boring because I heard people say it was boring, but in reality I never even gave it a chance. So to get rid of all these dumb excuses, I just decided to get out my debit card and buy the damn game. And to be honest, it was quite fun and it actually improved my aim quite a bit. I'm still quite new to it, so I haven't experienced that much of an increase in the ability of my shots yet, but I certainly feel like it improves my aim. If you all want to see a video of my 1 week progress from before Kovacs to after Kovacs, then let me know in the comment section. I don't know, it might be a dumb video idea, but I'll let you guys decide. Now the game is currently on sale and only costs around €5, but if you don't have this money and are actually broke, then there still is a viable replacement to this. Team Parallel member Beaks just released this great aim improving map on Fortnite Creative that is really similar to the minigames that you can play in Kovacs to improve your aim. I personally really recommend this map as I played on it and found it really useful for actually improving your aim. This is also a really good solution for all my console boys out there that don't even have the opportunity to play an aim trainer like Kovacs because they don't have a PC to buy it on. So yes, even if you think aim trainers are boring, just try it out first. Still think it's boring? Fair enough, and I completely understand. Try to at least practice 15 minutes a day on Beaks' Creative Map or Kovacs and you'll start to see progress over time. Now I promise that was the only time I'll go over something mechanic wise. Back to the other tips. The one thing that I started doing that I kept postponing for way too long was playing scrim/arena. Why? Because I kept saying to myself and everyone around me that I wasn't good enough for it yet. I later found out that I should have just started way earlier. Now don't take this the wrong way and think that you have to start out by playing scrims when switching over from controller to keyboard and mouse, or just starting the game for the first time. You shouldn't. It is absolutely necessary to start out by practicing creative and solos first before you go into scrims. But once you reach a solid level of skill and feel like you're among the many that are average to above average at the game, it is probably time to step your game up and play in some scrims or arena. Now before arena was a thing, I never really had the motivation to play any scrims because it is a pretty annoying thing to keep joining discords and readying up at the same time. But just try and get into the so-called alpha lobby. Most of the time I wouldn't get into the best game anyways and just gave up on trying and went back to my regular solos. Now with the introduction of custom games and arena game mode, there are no excuses left. Arena is such a good game mode for actually getting better at the game, as it matches you up with people from the same skill group, and the more you proceed to get the points, the better opponents will get. This will also introduce you to a mild form of the end game in scrims. Now pro players are currently complaining about the fact that there are almost no players in the final moving circles and that is no good practice for the World Cup. Meanwhile, we, the players that are considered average to above average, will finally have the chance to get introduced to these endgame situations without completely getting obliterated by people that are way more experienced in it anyways. You will still have a lot of good players in the final circles, but this smaller amount than in scrims will actually benefit you to slowly get into experiencing this crucial skill as well. I played arenas over a span of 2 days with 3 hours on the first day and 8 hours on the second day, and I got to Division 6 with 245 points. The situations I got in endgame were a huge learning experience for me and will definitely benefit me the more I play. My decision making and flick shots got a lot better and I got used to the tense situations and stopped shaking so much in these intense moments. This means it is also a great opportunity for those that feel like their nervousness in games is what stops them from becoming better. Next time you load up Fortnite and you haven't tried arenas yet, go ahead and try it and you'll see that slowly getting more points is an amazing experience and will even motivate you a lot more. To continue on the subject of playing arena and scrims, you're going to find players that are way better than you, especially if you get into Division 6 or Champions Division. This will also be a step into the right direction of improving. You have to overcome the fact that some players are just better than you and that you have to find different ways to deal with them. If you meet TFU in Champions Division, you of course are not going to build battle him if you're an average to above average player. Even some pros decide to not go this route. Tfue will literally destroy you before you even know you've been destroyed. What you gotta try to do is outsmart these players. Be unpredictable. A massive tip that I want to give everyone that is looking to improve is play passive against players that are better than you. If you notice that someone is clearly outbuilding you and hitting literally every shot, box up and think of a strategy. The thing that I usually do in these situations is that I turtle up, think of a strategy, which is usually baiting the opponent down and waiting for the perfect opportunity to hit a shot, or wait for the third party or storm to come in. As soon as you shot him for high damage, then be aggressive, try to get the last few shots in to finish the fight. Is a third party coming in? Great. This is your chance to either escape the situation or get some shots in on both distracted players. Storm coming in? Try to move with it at the last second and bait your opponent into making a mistake due to the pressure of the storm. Most pro players will usually use a launch pad to disengage from the fight to not take any storm damage, which is your call to safety. There are various different ways to cope with players better than you, but these are some of the tips that have helped me in these situations. The best solution is of course to practice until you can be aggressive and be the player that you're afraid of, but this will come with time and you have to at least do something in those situations until you're at the skill level. Practice until you can be the player that you're afraid of. Easier said than done, but what you can do is practice the things you can do. Way too many times I see people slacking on practicing new techniques, builds or their editing, and I've got myself doing this as well. For me, it all started with not doing triple 90s, but doing 2 single 90s after each other, which is still ridiculous to me to this day, but I was like, why would I practice that if this is working for me right now? Well, it might work for you right now, but what if you get better? Unfortunately, I learned this lesson later on. I now do triple 90s and couldn't imagine doing the thing I did before it. I also kept ignoring the fact that I had to do 90s after ramping back up again against someone with high ground, as I kept doing 180s, which was significantly slower. And I did the same thing for placing a pyramid before doing those 90s to protect myself better. I am practicing these things right now with many more other different techniques, but please don't be as dumb as me and actually practice the things you are having trouble with. It has to be done one day if you actually want to get better. No one likes to practice in creative for a few hours or even 15 minutes, but it is important to learn the things you can't do. Eventually, you'll get it done more easily and you'll be thanking me and yourself later. What I personally would do is make a list of things you can't do yet mechanically, may it be a build technique, edit technique or certain flick shot, or even things like improving stupid mistakes and improving game sense. Put it on that list, rank it from highest priority to lowest with numbers and start practicing it with a schedule. Maybe take 15 minutes out of your day, like I said before, every day to start practicing the first thing on your list until you master it. Then move on to the next one. And at last but not least, we have arrived at the last tip. Now this is something all of you guys have probably already been doing, but not in the same way I'm about to explain to you guys. Watch your favorite streamer or any pro player that streams on Twitch and analyze every move they make. You're now probably saying, but I watch my favorite streamer every day and it hasn't helped me one bit. That is because you're watching him or her laid back half asleep with a bag of crisps on your stomach and a glass of Coca-Cola on the side. Now there's nothing wrong with that. I usually watch streams to relax and unwind from a stressful day, but if you actually want to improve, you should do the following. Pay close attention to what the streamer is doing in certain fights and situations. For example, I always watch Tfue to see how he handles certain situations and how he builds in those situations. I always find myself building the wrong things or making the wrong decision when it comes to building. So it really helps me seeing someone doing it right and how he is doing it right. I try to then memorize or even write down what I just saw and try to implement it into my own game. And an even better way is to just clip it and watch it back when you're going to try to implement it in your own gameplay. A lot can be learned from pro players, and seeing them play against highly skilled players and winning those games will let you know how you could do the same. Of course, these players have amazing mechanical skill, but everything they are doing, you can do too with enough practice. You just got to know what to do, and that is why this is such a useful tip. This is also for the people that have limited time to play Fortnite due to parents restricted them from the PlayStation, Xbox or PC, or for busy people that work a full-time or part-time job and that still want to improve. Whenever you're bored, watch one of the streams on Twitch and use this tip. Get a break during work or some relaxing time before going to sleep. There you have your time to still learn to improve in the game and make some notes. Then, the next time you launch the game back up, you will know what to practice in the time you have. Now these are all the tips that have helped me get better at the game and at fighting highly skilled players way better than me. Please note that these are all tips that have personally helped me and you may not find them as useful as I do. I just wanted to touch on some things that people haven't touched on yet. Now if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, then please leave a like on it and consider subscribing. I would really appreciate that, and I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.